Build an aura so strong people fear disappointing you. Machiavelli's presence. Silence is your first weapon of authority. When you do not rush to speak, people become uneasy. They begin guessing your thoughts and judging themselves. Silence removes predictability. Over time, your quiet presence becomes heavy. People fear disappointing someone who does not explain, defend, or justify themselves, because silence feels like silent judgment, always. Emotional control separates leaders from followers. When others react loudly, you remain calm. This imbalance creates dominance. People fear disappointing those they cannot emotionally disturb. Calm responses during chaos signal strength. Emotional discipline tells others you cannot be manipulated, pressured, or rushed into weakness. Never announce your standards. Let them be felt through behavior. When expectations are clear but unspoken, people become anxious trying to meet them. Ambiguity creates discipline. Fear grows because they never know if they have done enough. Unspoken standards force self-control without confrontation. Move slowly and deliberately. Fast movement signals insecurity. Controlled movement signals confidence. When you are never rushed, people assume you are in control. Your body language commands respect before words do. Others begin adjusting their pace to match yours. Do not chase respect. Behave as if it already belongs to you. Calm expectation forces others to comply. Seeking validation weakens authority. When you do not prove yourself, people assume there is nothing to prove. Fear grows because your approval feels earned, not requested. Master the pause after others speak. Silence forces reflection. People replay their words, fearing mistakes. Over time, your pause becomes associated with judgment. They begin choosing words carefully around you. Control increases without confrontation. Be selectively available. Constant access lowers value. Absence creates importance. When people cannot reach you easily, they respect your time. They fear losing access to your presence, so they behave more carefully to keep it. Never overreact to disrespect. Anger reveals weakness. Calm withdrawal reveals dominance. When disrespect receives no emotional reward, it dies. Fear grows because consequences feel quiet, controlled, and inevitable. Limit emotional transparency. Reveal thoughts strategically. Mystery forces caution. When people cannot read you emotionally, they stay alert. Fear lives in uncertainty. Emotional distance combined with consistency creates authority. Make approval rare. Praise sparingly. When approval is difficult to earn, it becomes valuable. People work harder to avoid losing it. Constant validation destroys authority. Scarcity builds respect and fear together. Hold eye contact slightly longer than comfort. Say nothing. This exposes insecurity in others. Over time, your gaze becomes judgment. People lower their voice, adjust posture, and think carefully when you look at them. Detach from outcomes publicly. When success or failure does not change you, people feel unsettled. Emotional independence signals strength. People fear disappointing someone who does not emotionally depend on results. Never complain. Complaints signal weakness. Silent endurance signals strength. When people see you carry pressure quietly, they fear adding burden. Strength without noise intimidates. Make your absence noticeable. When energy drops after you leave, your presence gains power. People fear losing what stabilizes the environment. Absence reminds them of your value. Avoid explaining decisions too much. Authority does not debate. Explanations invite resistance. Silence closes arguments. People assume depth behind what they cannot access. Remain disciplined even when unobserved. Reputation grows from consistency. People fear disappointing someone whose standards never drop. Do not correct every mistake. Selective correction increases impact. When feedback is rare, it carries weight. People self-correct to avoid hearing it. Control facial expressions. Neutrality unsettles emotional minds. People project judgment where none is shown. Listen more than you speak. People reveal themselves while you remain hidden. Information becomes leverage. End conversations first. Control of time signals dominance. People respect those who value their own time. Control your time ruthlessly. Time is power made visible. When you give it freely, people waste it. When your time is limited, people prepare before approaching you. Ending conversations first and never rushing signals priority. People fear disappointing those who value time highly because wasting time feels like disrespect they cannot undo. Never mirror another person's emotional intensity. Slight emotional distance establishes hierarchy. When others are excited, remain composed. When they are angry, stay calm. This imbalance forces them to regulate themselves. Emotional independence is intimidating. People fear disappointing someone whose emotions cannot be controlled, provoked, or rushed. Allow others to speak more than you do. Listening is dominance disguised as patience. When people talk, they reveal weaknesses, intentions, and insecurities. Silence invites oversharing. Over time, people realize they expose themselves around you. Fear grows when they feel seen while you remain unreadable. Keep boundaries firm but quiet. Loud boundaries invite testing. Calm boundaries end challenges. When someone crosses a line and you respond without emotion, the lesson lasts. Emotional reactions teach manipulation. Controlled enforcement teaches limits. People fear disappointing those whose boundaries never move. Never reveal all your abilities at once. Show only what is necessary. Hidden strength multiplies fear. When people cannot measure your limits, they assume they are greater. Mystery keeps others cautious. Gradual revelation creates respect and hesitation. Be difficult to impress, but fair. Unfair standards breed resentment. High standards breed effort. When people know your judgment is accurate but strict, they push themselves harder. They fear disappointing someone whose approval actually means something. Do not correct every mistake. Selective correction makes feedback powerful. When your words are rare, they carry weight. People become careful, fearing the moment you finally speak. Silence forces self-discipline without confrontation. Stay consistent in values, not moods. Mood-based authority collapses. Value-based authority endures. When people know what you stand for but cannot predict reactions, they remain cautious. Stability mixed with restraint creates lasting authority. Never beg for loyalty. Assume it must be earned. When loyalty is optional, it becomes valuable. Those who stay do so intentionally. People fear disappointing someone who does not cling because leaving feels like loss. Let your reputation arrive before you do. Reputation reduces effort. When people already expect discipline and standards, they behave carefully. Fear forms before interaction. Authority grows when it travels ahead of your presence. Be slow to anger and slower to forgive. Predictable anger loses power. Controlled displeasure creates anxiety. When forgiveness is not guaranteed, people think carefully before acting. Fear of lasting consequences enforces discipline. Never argue to prove intelligence. Arguments weaken authority. Calm certainty wins without debate. When you refuse to argue, people feel unsettled. Indifference forces them to question themselves. Allow others to underestimate you briefly. Comfort invites carelessness. Then reveal competence gradually. Realization creates shock and respect. Fear grows when people discover they misjudged you. Detach from praise. Accept it calmly. Hunger for praise signals insecurity. When praise does not move you, people try harder to earn it. They fear their efforts may still fall short. Never threaten consequences. Act instead. Silent enforcement builds legend. People fear what has already happened more than what is promised. Use stillness in confrontation. Movement signals tension. Stillness signals control. The calmer you are, the more unstable the other person feels. Let silence follow your statements. Do not fill it. Silence increases weight. People absorb your words deeper when space surrounds them. Know when to withdraw completely. Presence loses power when overstayed. Strategic absence restores authority and respect. Make people earn proximity. Easy closeness weakens respect. Distance increases value and discipline. Carry consequences calmly. Emotionless accountability is unforgettable. Fear comes from certainty, not anger.
Never rush decisions publicly. Speed suggests pressure. Deliberation suggests control. When you take time to decide, people assume depth and foresight. They fear disappointing someone who weighs outcomes carefully because mistakes feel irreversible. Patience makes your choices feel final and powerful. Keep your reactions smaller than expected. When others anticipate emotion and receive restraint, they feel exposed. Overreaction gives relief. Underreaction creates tension. People fear disappointing someone whose responses are controlled and unpredictable in intensity. Let others seek your approval first. Do not initiate validation. When people come to you for confirmation, authority reverses naturally. They fear disappointing you because approval feels earned, not automatic. Avoid emotional bargaining. Requests should sound optional but meaningful. When refusal feels uncomfortable, compliance increases. People fear letting down someone who never begs but quietly expects standards to be met. Maintain composure during praise and criticism alike. Emotional swings signal dependence. Steady demeanor signals independence. People fear disappointing someone who remains unchanged regardless of feedback. Do not explain your silence. Silence explained loses power. Let others interpret it. Fear grows when meaning is unclear. Ambiguity forces caution and self-discipline. Allow discomfort to exist in conversations. Do not rush to ease tension. Discomfort pressures truth and respect. People fear disappointing those who do not soften moments unnecessarily. Speak with certainty, not volume. Loudness seeks dominance. Certainty assumes it. Calm statements land heavier than raised voices. People fear disappointing someone whose confidence feels settled. Never compete openly. Competition reveals insecurity. Quiet superiority ends contests before they start. People fear disappointing someone who does not need to prove dominance. Let your discipline show in small habits. Consistency in minor actions signals control in major ones. People fear disappointing someone whose standards never slip. Refuse to gossip. Silence around others builds trust and intimidation. People fear disappointing someone who observes but never joins low behavior. Control your exits. Leave conversations cleanly and deliberately. Ending first signals authority over time and attention.
People waste moments with you. Keep personal struggles private. Strength appears greater when hardship is unseen. People fear disappointing someone who carries weight without complaint. Predict principles, unpredict methods. Predictable values build trust. Unpredictable execution builds caution. Together, they create authority. Do not seek sympathy. Sympathy lowers hierarchy. Quiet endurance elevates it. People fear disappointing someone who stands without emotional support. Allow people to correct themselves. Silence invites self-reflection. Correction discovered internally lasts longer than correction imposed.
Never react immediately to provocation. Delay response. Time weakens the other person's confidence. Fear grows during waiting. Let your calm feel permanent. Temporary calm can be tested. Permanent calm feels immovable. People fear challenging what does not shift. Reduce emotional exposure as influence grows. Power increases distance. Distance increases respect and caution. Make disappointment feel heavy without expressing anger. Controlled distance teaches more than confrontation. Fear comes from loss, not noise. Control your breathing in tense moments. Calm breathing steadies the body and unsettles others. When pressure rises and you remain physically relaxed, people sense inner control. They fear disappointing someone who appears unaffected by stress, because composure suggests preparedness and hidden strength. Never rush to defend your reputation. Defense implies vulnerability. Let time and consistency speak instead. When you do not react to criticism, people question the critic, not you. Fear grows when others realize your status does not require protection. Choose restraint over explanation. Excess explanation invites doubt. Brief clarity ends confusion. People fear disappointing someone whose words are few but precise, because every statement feels deliberate and final. Allow silence to stretch after difficult moments. Do not rescue others from discomfort. Discomfort sharpens awareness. People fear disappointing someone who lets tension exist without apology. Keep your emotional energy contained. Emotional leakage weakens presence. When energy is focused inward, others feel it outwardly. People fear disappointing someone whose energy feels controlled and deliberate. Never ask twice for the same thing. Repetition lowers authority. One request delivered calmly carries expectation. People fear disappointing someone who assumes compliance without pressure. Observe patterns, not excuses. Patterns reveal truth. When people realize you judge behavior over words, they become careful. Fear grows because excuses lose value around you. Let others approach you with problems. Do not chase involvement. When people seek your input, authority is established. They fear disappointing someone whose guidance is not freely given. Keep your tone level regardless of topic. Emotional tone changes signal weakness. Consistency signals strength. People fear disappointing someone whose voice never betrays doubt or urgency. Do not rush to celebrate loyalty. Loyalty proven over time is stronger. Premature trust invites betrayal. People fear disappointing someone who values consistency over promises. Limit physical gestures. Excess movement distracts from authority. Controlled gestures focus attention. People fear disappointing someone whose presence feels contained and intentional. Never interrupt unnecessarily. Let others finish. Patience commands respect. People fear disappointing someone who listens fully and responds selectively. Hold standards even when inconvenient. Compromise erodes authority. Consistency builds it. People fear disappointing someone whose principles do not bend under pressure. Keep your reactions proportional but restrained.
Extremes invite testing. Balanced restraint discourages challenge. Fear grows when reactions are measured and controlled. Let people earn explanations. Not everyone deserves clarity. Withholding explanation maintains hierarchy. People fear disappointing someone who decides when understanding is granted. Never appear surprised by bad behavior. Expectation removes shock. Calm acknowledgement teaches awareness. People fear disappointing someone who seems prepared for outcomes. Control how often you reveal approval. Too much approval removes tension. Limited approval maintains effort. People fear disappointing someone whose recognition is scarce. Do not rush to resolve conflicts. Time clarifies intentions. Delayed resolution increases accountability. People fear disappointing someone who allows consequences to mature. Carry yourself as if options are always available. Scarcity weakens authority. Abundance strengthens it. People fear disappointing someone who does not need them. End interactions with certainty. Clear endings reinforce control. People leave feeling evaluated. Authority lingers after.
Control how familiar people become with you. Familiarity without respect weakens authority. Keep a slight distance even with allies. This distance preserves gravity. People fear disappointing those who are close yet unreachable, because approval never feels guaranteed. Never reward emotional outbursts. Calm behavior should receive attention, not noise. When emotions gain nothing, discipline grows. People fear disappointing someone who responds only to control and restraint. Let your standards rise quietly over time. Sudden demands invite resistance. Gradual elevation feels natural. People adjust without noticing until expectations are high. Fear grows when they realize the bar is no longer low. Avoid reacting to rumors. Silence denies them oxygen. When you remain unaffected, others doubt the rumor's power. People fear disappointing someone who cannot be destabilized by words. Use fewer words than necessary. Precision intimidates more than verbosity. Short statements feel final. People fear disappointing someone whose words leave no space for debate. Never explain your confidence. Confidence explained sounds defensive. Confidence displayed feels unquestionable. People fear disappointing someone who believes in themselves without evidence or approval. Observe before intervening. Let situations reveal themselves. Early intervention shows impatience. Delayed action shows understanding. People fear disappointing someone who sees the full picture. Do not chase closure. Unfinished conversations create lingering authority. People replay interactions, searching for meaning. Fear grows in unresolved space. Maintain inner discipline when no one is watching. Authority collapses without self-control. People sense integrity instinctively. They fear disappointing someone whose standards are real. Keep success understated. Excess celebration weakens mystique. Quiet wins feel heavier. People fear disappointing someone who treats success as normal. Do not overshare plans. Plans spoken invite interference. Plans hidden invite results. People fear disappointing someone who acts instead of announcing. Allow others to feel replaceable. Need weakens authority. Independence strengthens it. People fear disappointing someone who does not rely on them emotionally. Control how often you give reassurance. Too much reassurance removes accountability. Limited reassurance creates responsibility. People fear disappointing someone who does not constantly comfort. Let disappointment show through distance, not anger. Distance signals loss.
Loss teaches discipline. People fear losing access more than hearing criticism. Stay composed when challenged. Emotional defense lowers status. Calm acknowledgement raises it. People fear disappointing someone who cannot be shaken. Never rush forgiveness. Fast forgiveness invites repetition. Delayed forgiveness enforces reflection. People fear repeating mistakes under watchful restraint. Make self-respect visible through posture and presence. Body language speaks before words. People fear disappointing someone who carries themselves with certainty. Do not seek to be liked. Likability fades, respect remains. People fear disappointing those they respect more than those they enjoy. Keep emotional reactions smaller than the moment. Underreaction creates imbalance. Imbalance creates dominance. People fear disappointing someone who never reacts as expected. Let your silence end discussions. Final silence signals conclusion. People feel closure without permission. Authority remains intact.